Hello, today is Monday, 30th day of October 2017. My name is Derek. Time for a hashtag crypto trading video. Everything you do is within your own risk and your own reward. I'm going to talk a little bit about your own risk, own reward, and a perspective from anyone who plays any type of risk reward game. And I'll do that when I talk about the first alternate coin, that will be Strat. But first, Bitcoin. And we're looking at the 30-minute time frame. And we look back from this gain after breaking this level of resistance. A nice move, breaking resistance at 58.50 north, barely above 6K. About 3% on the break, a little higher from this low. Market has several periods within a sideways manner, bull flag, as some people like to mention it as such, and break of resistance, and the size of these moves. Typical. Big green candle move on the break. Big green candles, two of them on the break. Oh, what's going to probably happen if it breaks 63? Big candles up would be your answer. But short term, we can see we're at a level of resistance. I can see some cool things like a smiley face. Something like this. That's a nice little bullish pattern. I can talk about trend line analysis, where I can connect several lows within the last couple of dozen or so periods. As it hit this low, this one on two occasions, again on two occasions, and once more in here. But now it's doing things a little bit differently. This is the type of things I notice that oftentimes can indicate that it's ready to get going. And if you're the type of person that tries to find setups for quick in, quick out, this to me looks like one of them. As I feel over the next 4 or 5 periods, this thing should come up and at least test within some of this level of resistance that would take us too close to 10:30 or so p.m. Eastern Time, 7:30 Pacific. Right now it's 8:46 p.m. Eastern Time on my end. Talking furthermore, I want to talk about the failed move, fast move. There's a key support level. How it breaks down like this. No, this isn't what I would consider this situation as. A market technically breaking through, but when I talk about holding and staying below a certain level, well, that's the complete opposite of holding and staying below that point. It's completely every period recovering any lows on the break of support, which we can see in this section, indicates that when it got to the time when you're supposed to get bearish and, oh my goodness, be a little cautious, buyers came in every single time relatively quickly to bring it back to at least the lower end of the support for about 5 or 6 several periods. Move this on now to the daily term time frame. But before we do that, I've just got a quick update on the 5-minute, just a short period of time later, mentioning it's looking like this thing is ready to go. And as we can see within this current period, a nice little tick. Again, indicating that price is moving up to 6,200 in the very near term seems like it's a decent chance. And we're switching this off to the daily chart. And as I mentioned on the short term, ready to break out free, I really have to say a lot about this one as well. As this 18 average has been remaining in a rising position with a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 7 days or so from this period till the breakout yesterday. Yesterday was the establishment that the correction within the uptrend is over and the next leg higher is ready to begin. So when I talk about what's the story to it, that's pretty much like reading the story of the market. And I refer to that as some people in poker have talked about what's the story of the hand. So a lot of that thinking is from exactly my poker thinking of the past. And the move, I think, would be relatively quick towards the 6,800 area. Now, I've heard a lot of people mentioning about putting alerts in to buy and sell at certain areas. which for me, and if I wanted to buy silver, I guess I would have to do it. However, you can always put in orders to buy and sell in situations. So if you are looking to get out or sell at a specific point, to me, you go to bed, you put your sell order, say you want to sell at 68, you put your 67.95 sell order or something in that area, go to bed, let the market do what it does, and if that's something you know you're going to do if price action gets there, it's a lot easier to do that than set an alert and then try and get a sale. Now that of course depends on how you may read the message of the market. Maybe you may feel that, okay, the market's going to rise up there, and I'm very good at looking at the short-term time frame, and instead of putting a sell order in at around 68, I think I have a better chance maybe of reading it better and maybe getting a better number close to 7,000, and for that I'd understand. But for me, I think it's much easier just to put buy and sell orders in as placed. I have sell orders for the tether up around here, but I don't have it at 6,300 or 64 or 65. Well, maybe starting at 65, I barely would. But majority in the closer to the high 6,000s, low mid 7,000s even. And I even have one at 13,000 just in case, or in that ballpark area. And because I'll be looking for price action to come back to around this point in here, that's where I'll be looking to buy them back. I've already sold a small amount in this little area in here, but about a quarter of what I'm looking to sell at the higher end. Looking to buy silver, but just a small amount as well. And I'll also be looking to get into altcoins, which is something I'm doing now. I got my buy orders ready to go on several situations. I've had a lot of them hit. I've had a lot of great day trades, especially over the last 24 hours. And I'm going to talk next about the code Strat. And I actually bought some pretty much just now. I bought in at 60,000 Satoshi, now at 59.5. So why did I buy at this level? Well, as it was rallying, and I think I put my buy order somewhere around here, I figured, you know what, that's where this level of resistance is. It's probably got a good chance with lining with the 18 lows. Oh boy, was I right on that. But I mean, I've seen enough of these markets to pretty much know how they are going to place. And where am I looking to sell? Well, I'm not going to sell it all at once. I'm going to sell a portion of it, probably around here. That will match up with the 18 average of highs. The way I look at it mathematically, buying at 60, selling at 74-ish, that's a difference of about 14 basis points. That's over 20%. That's good enough for me. I'll sell another more of it. I'll sell half of it here. With the remaining half, I'll sell about 2/3 of that half before this high. And then the remaining portion will be somewhere around here. That's where I would place my sell orders. Will I buy this again if it goes lower? Yeah. Will I do it at this previous low? Well, if I was wanting to get a lot of positions in, or I want to buy like a lot of them, then maybe small. Realizing I could buy here with the intention of probably selling in the area where it's at now. But in a bear market, I am looking to look for lower, or to play at a lower low to buy again. This is just a situation of step 1, band flatten out, step 2, establish resistance, step 3, come back to the band, and I bought at the lowest end of coming back to the band. Now I am playing for an attempt to do the next stage, which is basically a move up to the 18 average of highs, and then selling again on the attempt to break the resistance, and then I'm selling again on the sell target of where that break would be. Now, I was asked earlier in a comment about this, wondering, well, they've about dumping it, or what to do because they're in a really bad situation. And there's really not much I really can say, because well, let's just talk about risk reward. I talk about whatever you do is within your own risk, own reward, and that should be like that with any betting venture that you make, whether you listen to other people, do it yourself, whatever. You got to ask yourself, what is your risk and what is your reward within the situation? I try to think of as many possible outcomes that I can when I'm going through this. That's why oftentimes I do this videos. I say, okay, this situation could happen, this here, this, that, this, because that's how I think when I am analyzing the market. And I really don't want to talk too much about strategies that other traders do because, well, if it was making a lot for me and I was doing it, then sure, but I really don't do a lot of the typical trading you'll hear that a lot of them talk about. Rather, I like to buy when markets go down, sell on the way up. So in situations in here, if you had 20 orders taken, you should have only had maybe 1 to 2 buy orders. The rest being sell orders when it went from here to here. Maybe you could have bought in here after selling here. Maybe you bought here or sold there rather, bought back here. But a lot of sell orders, a lot of buy orders in here. Some sell orders will come in from everything you bought back in here. And then buy orders for what you sold up here. Then the buy orders come in again is like the strategy that I like to play, at least for the ones I go very aggressive. A lot of codes I'll just maybe try to put 1 or 2 plays in, meaning I'll just buy it once and then try to sell it again. Within this, I made a double size bet, so that's why I got more sell orders in. But if you were to buy here, then you can easily get some sell possibilities. And then again, if you sold at this top, you could buy just where I did again at the 60 number, and so on and so forth. So I think, yeah, it's very important in understanding the risks that you are taking, the potential gains, weigh them through, because oftentimes I look at different strategies in which I have, okay, I got that, like, okay, this one here, I mean, I lost a bit here, lost a bit here, then I think, like, I'm betting, say, we'll say 2% of a Bitcoin per play. If I'm betting 2% of a Bitcoin, lose a little bit on this one, say a quarter of it or a third, maybe even half. And then I look at one of the ones that made me 25% of a Bitcoin or 22. And I think to myself, if I could make on one play, betting 2% on it of a Bitcoin or 0.02, and I'm trying to do this 30, 40 different codes maybe, and that's maybe not quite that many, but a decent amount. And I end up getting a winner that gets me 0.25 Bitcoin. Well, technically, I can play 11 more different plays of this nature that go to 0, and I'm still barely up. And that's one of the ways in which I look at what I do risk-reward, how a play is. I thought earlier today, you know what, I'm going to get every single trade on my computer soon in a spreadsheet. And, you know, I just might figure out how much I'm up and down on every single code. And I got to think there's about 20 to 30 codes that have really hurt me this overall. But I realize there's a lot that I've done well and it's worked out for me thus far. And one thing I do focus a lot is on my portfolio, what I can do to give it the lowest risk possible to ensure the highest reward possible. Little difficult to do, but I'm doing it very, very well. And then, of course, execute a game plan in which you are about to execute. Now, we'll put it on the weekly chart. And when these things go, they go really hard, as there was a span of, starting with the green candle in here, 5 in a row up with a pause. And overall, from this low to this high, the record or scorekeeping would work out to 7, 2, 8, 9, 10 green candles, 2 red candles over a 12-week period, going from 55 to 45. Since the green period, there has been, I count 22 quickly, but there's almost double what there was. Markets go up faster than they go down. This, to me, is a type of chart of like the opposite of what you would expect within the traditional markets, because they'll always say, oh, the amount of gains that you get in like a year when the market just falls you're gonna lose what you gain in a year in maybe 3 months or 2 months. What you gain in a week, you'll lose in a day. What you make in a day, you'll lose in an hour. What you make in an hour, you'll lose in 5 minutes. And it's quite the opposite within almost every single one of these charts. So for myself, any cryptocurrency that I hold a large position for myself, and there's only about 4 or 5 really that make this list. But of those coins, I'm in position the best that I can to get the most of these types of gains and realize that when these things go off, they can really, really go off. And with a lot of the other codes that I'm playing small ball, I have different techniques that can, not always, that will work as a market's rising, where I can have a small amount of tokens, maybe just 1 or 2 bet sizes for me. And if it can work out right and the situation plays well, I could end up playing this to tremendous gains. Like I mentioned before, having bets of 0.02 that yield me, when the play's all said and done, like a 0.25, because I'm able to do things along the way, like maybe buy 100 or sell 100 tokens and then be able to buy much, much more back at a much cheaper price along the way. And it can be very, very hard to do, but in a few different ways, very possible. So that is the one of the best ways that I can go through this. Now, Fibonacci analysis I can cover within here, but a little scary as it hasn't worked out the greatest. From that high to that low, the first Fibonacci level down is 167,000. That one worked out okay. But nah, it was a large pierce though. Still, it was profitable buy. It was a major pierce below that, and 130 worked into a more capable level, as did around 220, 230. So that really wasn't that key of a level. 38.2% on the downside, which works out to this number here at 61.8. That's at 88,000, which was no support. However, it was resistance. And in a situation, if Fibonacci does this, this is oftentimes an indicator that it's going to go down to the 38.2 and the 61.8 down, which translates to 38.2 here, which is in at 31,000 or so in change. Somewhere along here, which is just by looking at a blind level, nothing more than what a decent leg lower would be from here. And there's so many areas that's a decent leg lower. This would probably be the lowest venture. And within my strategy, when will I buy again? Probably the second next time I buy, I'll probably buy in here, because that's a previous congestion area. And although it had a major decline in here, I realized that it can very oftentimes, if it's going to have a leg lower, maybe find support somewhere around the middle. So I would be a buyer next at 31. That's the strategy that I would implement for myself. I'm always looking to buy on the way down. The only times that I'm ever going to be selling in situations like this is if I want to do something like short the market, quote unquote. If I think it's going to go lower, then I may sell something in a spot like now. I see, okay, it's resisting this. Maybe it's going to go down to 32. I'll put a sell order in now, buy it back at 32, and I can technically buy almost double the amount that I sell there, because that's almost a 50% decline. I do that now and again, but that would be the only time I would look to sell when I'm below an 18 average and such. I'm a believer of the game. Each team passes a dice between the Bulls and the Bears. What a turn the Bulls have had. The Bears still haven't given up their turn yet, and the Bears haven't given it up, and the Bulls will take over at some point. As to me, the better places to buy and sell in my strategy is selling above the 18 average and buying below. And of course, again, at key levels. So the first time it came down in here, That was significantly lower from here. And it could have profits. But when next time it came down here, it got up. I mean, you didn't get a 20-30% gain. It was available. That was all that was available. The more often you test it, the more likely it is you take it out. And when you take it out, again, you got to be expecting there's a decent chance you're going to be getting a fast move. All right, I'm going to end this video, 20 minutes, so only a double coder, but a lot of good information, I think. Thank you for tuning in, and have yourself a great night. Bye-bye.